What if I told you the greatest war in history isn't fought with tanks or missiles, but with money itself? It's a war where the winners create wealth out of thin air, and the losers trade their time, their labor, and their freedom for it. A war that's been raging for over a century, hidden behind terms like quantitative easing, interest rates, and monetary policy. But here's the catch. In this war, the battlefield is your bank account, and the weapon is inflation. So who are the soldiers? Who's really printing our future? And who's losing theirs every single day? Tonight we uncover the secret war between money printers and real wealth, a story of power, deception, and the quiet theft that reshaped the modern world. Long before central banks or digital currencies existed, wealth had a simple definition. It was something real, tangible: gold, land, labor, production. If you wanted more wealth, you had to create it. Farmers grew it, miners dug it, builders constructed it. But as economies grew, carrying bags of gold became impractical. So governments and merchants began issuing paper, certificates that represented gold. At first, these notes were backed by something physical. $1 meant a specific amount of gold stored safely somewhere. But then came the first twist. People realized it was easier to print paper than to mine gold, and that simple convenience would change everything. The temptation was too powerful. Why work for wealth when you can create it with a printing press? The 20th century opened the door to the money printers. In 1913, a group of powerful bankers and politicians secretly met on Jekyll Island, off the coast of Georgia. Their goal? To design a new financial system that could manage and manipulate the flow of money in the world's largest economy. The result? The Federal Reserve System. Its mission sounded noble: stability, security, and trust. But in practice, it gave a small group the power to decide how much money existed and when to create more of it. During World War I, the U.S. and Europe abandoned the gold standard temporarily to fund the war. More paper money flooded the economy. Prices soared. Real wealth, the kind tied to goods, labor, and production, couldn't keep up. Then came the 1920s, a boom built on easy credit. The Roaring Twenties weren't fueled by productivity, they were fueled by debt. When the illusion cracked in 1929, markets collapsed, banks failed, and millions lost everything. But the Federal Reserve and the very institution created to prevent disaster had quietly caused it. Still, instead of questioning the system, governments doubled down. They didn't ask, should we print less? They asked, how can we print smarter? By mid-century, the cracks were obvious. After World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement pegged global currencies to the U.S. dollar, and the dollar was pegged to gold at $35 an ounce. The world trusted the U.S. to keep its promise, but behind the scenes, America was spending more than it earned, financing wars, welfare, and expansion. Foreign nations began asking for their gold back, exchanging dollars for the real thing. And then, in 1971, President Richard Nixon made a stunning announcement. The United States would temporarily suspend the gold standard. That temporary move was permanent. Overnight, money became debt. The dollar was no longer backed by gold, but by faith. Faith in the government's promise to pay. This was the birth of fiat money. Currency that exists not because it's valuable, but because we're told it is. And from that day forward, the money printers had won. When money can be created without limit, the real question isn't how much exists, it's who gets it first. Banks, governments, and corporations, the insiders, always touch the new money before you do. They use it to buy assets, real estate, stocks, businesses. By the time that money trickles down to ordinary people, prices have already risen. That's how inflation quietly transfers wealth from the bottom to the top. The middle class doesn't notice it right away, because their salaries go up too. But what they don't see is that the price of everything else rises faster. In 1970, one income could buy a house, a car, and feed a family. Today, Two full-time jobs barely manage the same. The reason? We measure wealth in money, but money itself is losing meaning. And every time the system cracks, the solution is always the same: print more. 2008, housing collapse. Trillions in stimulus. Markets recover for the rich. 2020, pandemic shutdowns. Trillions more printed. Inflation hits record highs, and once again, real wealth slips further from reach. As trust in the system erodes, new challengers rise. Bitcoin and other decentralized currencies promise to return to the idea of limited money. A digital gold. Outside government control. But central banks aren't retreating. They're fighting back with a new weapon: CBDCs, or central bank digital currencies. It's the same fiat money, but programmable, trackable, controllable, and instantly printable at the push of a button. The war between money printers and real wealth has simply moved to the digital battlefield. Governments promise efficiency and innovation, but ask yourself, when has giving absolute financial control to the same institutions that caused every crisis ever ended well? Today, global debt exceeds $315 trillion. That's over $40,000 for every person on Earth. Inflation may cool on paper, but asset prices, homes, stocks, even food, keep climbing faster than wages. Every time central banks solve a problem, they simply push the cost into the future. It's like bailing water from a sinking ship, with a hole in the bucket. The result? A generation locked out of home ownership, small businesses crushed by costs, savings losing value by the day, and yet the printers keep running. History is repeating, just with digital ink. So what can we learn from this century-long secret war? Takeaway. For one, real wealth isn't what's printed. It's what's produced. Gold, land, skills, innovation, and productive assets have intrinsic value. Paper money doesn't. Takeaway number two. Every time new money is printed, someone's wealth is silently stolen through inflation. If your savings don't grow faster than the printer runs, you're losing. Takeaway number three. The more detached money becomes from reality, the more fragile the system gets. When debt is wealth and printing is policy, collapse isn't a question of if, it's when. The war between money printers and real wealth isn't ending, it's evolving, and the only defense is awareness. So the next time you hear about stimulus, quantitative easing, or money supply, remember, behind every new dollar printed, someone's real wealth is being diluted. The printers may have won the last century, but the next chapter? That's still being written by those who see through the illusion. If you found this story eye-opening, share it. Because the more people understand this silent war, the harder it becomes for history to repeat itself. This was The Secret War Between Money Printers and Real Wealth. Subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden forces shaping our world.